Okay, I guess we're live on YouTube. The volume is low. Might be on your side only. Anybody else having low volume? Okay, so it's your side. You need to up your speakers. In a minute, we'll start. Welcome to the YouTube viewers. I hope it's working good because I'm not on there. I can't see the YouTube live screen. Otherwise, we'll have an echo. Please start with Euro Chief. If you were the only person in the webinar, that would be a great idea. Remember, we have, well, not that much people live here, but I think the YouTube has a lot of people now. All right. So let's go. Let's start. Good afternoon, traders. Welcome to the weekly outlook. Glad to see so many of you here, but I guess not many. We only have 82 traders in the room. What happened? We used to have about 200. So either they were all in YouTube. What's the YouTube count? Anybody can tell me what is the YouTube count there? How many people in YouTube? They've all blown their account? Not really. I don't think so. There are millions. There are actually 9 millions of online traders, right? So we should have at least a couple of hundred in here, which means let's get the message out and make sure people know where they're, when it could be the time change as well. We'll probably bring it back an hour later and see if that helps. Okay. So let's go. Let's start. Dollar index. 65, not a lot. We still have 6,000 views on YouTube, but most people may be watching the recording. I wish most people can come live, which means we'll have to find a time for them to come live, right? As long as they still get to watch it on YouTube, it's okay. Let's start. Dollar index. Dollar index may look like it's in this triangular pattern, but this is not a triangular pattern, just to make sure you know that. And that means that if it is not a triangular pattern, there are a number of ways this could develop. Now, since we don't go into the details of what are the patterns that could develop here, I'll just let you know that there are at least 4 patterns that could develop with the information we have right now. There are 4 variations of patterns that could develop. And if you know all those variations, then great. You at least know how to deal with each one separately. But just for simplicity, I'm telling you, this could go up. It could stay in that triangular pattern for a longer while, or they could break down, right? Either way, it's not a triangle to break down totally. So the breakdown might hardly break this low. The breakdown might be short, go back up, and then come down. So when you're in a triangular pattern like this that you don't know what it is, which like I can say for sure based on what we had, it is not a triangle right now, which means you start looking for those opportunities on both sides. You start looking for setups on both sides, setups that tells you they can go both ways. And one of the setups you're looking here now for is a buy setup. So short term, there's a buy setup here. Either this goes out of this pattern that looks like a triangle, either we're going to go out here now, or we're actually going to consolidate more. But this will unlikely break down. So what are the options? I'll give you guys very fast some of the options of this. They come here and they go back down. That's one option. We're not expecting them to break the low because we're still in the consolidation, which means breaking this low will go back up. So you have to know how to trade this, right? If you're going to take this buy, you have to be aware that it might not be the one that goes. There's still a chance that it could be the one that goes, depending on which of the 4 variations of this pattern is going to develop. So you take the trade and you manage it. You make sure that you don't take a loss in it. If the worst case happens, you get a break even, right? That's your job, to manage it to the worst case. And when you're trading in a corrective structure like that, very often you have to know how to manage your trade, because then you're going to get yourself in trouble if you don't know how to do that. Euro is not in a triangular pattern, and that is why we know for sure that that is not a triangle in the dollar index, right? So what is the pattern you're making? We could be in a very complex B wave structure right now, which means we've got 1, 2, 3, we came down. We did not break the low. Remember, I told you the last time, they may or may not break the low, but we always expected them to go break the low. Well, they turned before they break the low. That was a good trade. I hope some of you bought into that. There were a number of trades to get there. You have like about 3 trades for the entire week. And now we're actually consolidating here. I'm not expecting this to go lower. I'm expecting this to stop short here and go back up. That means that the dollar index might not get out of that pattern that looks like a triangle. It might still stay there. So if you're getting into the sell here, you got to be careful that it might be short term and then upside, right? How far up? Not very far up. I'm expecting them to stay within this consolidation for a while before they go, because that might make a bigger complete pattern. Right now we have one complete pattern, but the whole pattern is incomplete. So short term, I think you can look for a sell setup here. There's a good chance we might get a sell setup here short term, right? But on the longer term, as you can see, this was a buy, that was a buy. So you had a number of buy setups there short term you could have taken. From the break of this was a good buy setup if you pretty much realize that. I'm looking for short-term sells here, not long-term sells, and then we'll be buying and selling up and down for the entire week. The daily views is in consolidation, and that consolidation could take a couple months, which means it could be consolidating for the next couple months within the up and down moves. So you wouldn't be going anywhere as yet. You got to wait, right? That's the whole point. Pong. Pretty much the same thing if you look at the bigger picture. We made this, we anticipated that this was a good sell setup. I hope you managed to get out for positive or break even. Broke, did not go as we expected to go, turn to the upside. You got to buy, you got to buy, you got to buy. There were 3 buy setups there, and this one you could have got after it broke out. And then you start to look for what are they doing at the top there now. So there's a good chance that somewhere from here, we might start to see correction, sell, correction, sell, correction, sell. It could stay within this range. We're not expecting this to be a fall. It could be a fall because this could be your 3-wave structure up, and that could be a fall, but it's not necessarily going to be a fall. So you'll have to be careful, especially when you're in these very big, complex corrective structure. The trade you should be looking for this week, your most immediate trade, is I would wait for this to consolidate. I'll wait for this to go down, consolidate, and then see if I get a sell setup. You know, wait for these, wait for these, wait for those buy setups like that. Wait for the sell setup here. If a buy setup is to come, it's going to be a much longer one. You'll first have a correction up, a sell, correction up, maybe another sell, and then you'll probably get a buy setup. So it's going to take a while, like this one, you see, before you get the sell. I don't think a buy setup is coming that early, maybe until next week, but we can get a number of short-term sell setups in it. Aussie, same. They did go up as we expected last week. We were looking at this structure. We thought this would be a flat, right? And this one is going to turn from here and come right. When they go up a little more, that's okay within this structure. If you saw that, you could buy it as a short-term buy. I think I remember saying, right, watch it, possible one short-term buy. We're expecting this to come back here. Kind of a pattern is in the making here, which means that, you know, you could get some short-term sells. In the uptrend, if you pull a line in the uptrend, you'll see you're very close to that trend line. Put it back on the 1 hour. So what you're going to be looking for is short-term sell setups. I don't think this will be the one you want to look for. It will be good if they open Monday and pull back first. Let them make a corrective structure up, and then you can look for this trade, right? This is going to be going maybe with a number of corrections also to the downside. So everything is in consolidation. The dollar index is in consolidation because euro is in consolidation, pound is in consolidation, Aussie is in consolidation, and the New Zealand is in consolidation. I think you see that one coming, right? They made the up move, that wasn't going anywhere, and you saw that coming, right? Now, remember this downside, I'll be very careful in selling this. I'll make sure that I have a very good correction here before you sell. And that sell is short-term too, because they may just do this and go back up. So if you're going to take any selling here, you'll have to manage it very, very carefully, because we're expecting this to come break that top, right? There's a good chance they're going to break the top, and then we'll see what happens. If it continues to the downside, which might still happen, if they continue to the downside, you just take every trade, manage them, put them to break even, and see what happens, right? So they're making a small flag here. That's a sell setup. You get one sell, take profit. They make another one, you take another sell, get profit. Anytime this could turn for that move. Now, how deep do they go before they come back? That is always the big question, right? As long as you understand patterns, you will manage the smaller patterns until you see a change in those patterns for a bigger pattern, right? So until you see a change, that's what we do. Like we manage this one up until we saw that change. And then we know we're going to be heading for the downside. You see a change in structure and you understand, okay, this thing will be going down now, right? You can see that now. How far would the downside go? You manage every little pattern inside until you see the change to the upside, the turning of the structure, because you're in consolidation, right? If you look at it in the 4 hours, it's just going sideways, pretty much you're sideways. See, it's not going anywhere. So they can make a number of up and down while the structure is building. And then one spike to the top and back down. Upside, this one, I think I remember clearly telling you this one, you want to go up. This is one is simple. You want it to go up. If you get a buy setup, take it. If you get another buy setup, take it. If you get another buy setup, take it. I wouldn't be selling this structure until we break out of here and consolidate. Only then I'll be looking for a sell setup. Otherwise to that, every time they come to this level like that, I would buy. If they come back like that, I'll buy. Right? Because this has a tendency of doing that and just take off. And there's a very good chance that we're going to go up. I don't think I need to show you this chart again because I've shown you this enough times. There's a very good chance we're going to be going up. And if they start to take off like that, you definitely want to be in a trade. Right? You at least want to be in a single trade, if not a number of trades. So this one, the only time you will be selling in this is where if they break the structure, make a consolidation, then you go for sell. Otherwise, so that you're a short-term buyer until you break out of this big structure. What that means, you take every short-term trade, put them to break even, short-term trade, put them to break even, short-term trade, put it, and when they get here, you move the stops on every one of them because this could be the point where they go back or they take off. Can this be a bigger correction for downside? Possible, still possible, but they have to break the structure, make it sideways, and then we go. Would that change the structure? No, it wouldn't. So for those of you who are a little confused, right? If you're not a pattern guy and you haven't studied wave analysis, you're going to come back and say, hey, what is he saying? If it goes up, buy. If it goes down, sell. No, what I'm saying is that as it stands right now, we're looking at 1, 2, 3. This could continue to go down. It wouldn't change the structure we're looking at. It's going to extend this wave within that structure. I hope that is clear to you. If you haven't studied anything, go study it. But this is the minimum I can get you to understand that there is a possibility for downside. There is still more to downside. And which means if you get the sell setup, you'll take it. But there isn't a sell setup right now. And if you understand structure, you will see all of this. And you will know when that big one is coming because you will see the change. Now, if you don't know exactly when it's going to come, you take every buy opportunity. Right? This was our buy, this was a buy, this was a buy, that was a buy, this is a buy. Until you see that it's actually there, and then that one takes off, right? Right? So, although it might look like voodoo to some of you, yeah, it does look like voodoo to some of you. That I totally agree. I can understand when I see some of the people writing, I don't know this guy's doing. Well, I understand that. You would not understand what I'm doing until you actually studied this. And studied it in-depthly, the way we do in our group. So I'm not expecting everybody to just understand, hey, I think I get very clearly what he's saying. No, you wouldn't. You have to really understand these structures. You have to be studying. My students are looking and they clearly understand what I'm saying, right? They know, okay, I know what to look for if it goes on. And I know what that structure will be, right? So if you know what it's going to be, then great. If you don't, then you have to start studying because it works. It's one of the rare analysis that you can use to actually make forecasts. And it is the best in that sense. It is the only one that will give you those forecasts, and it is the best one to do it. So It's your choice, right? But I'm telling you, if you understand it, then you're going to understand how it's going to develop, the development of the patterns inside, and then it will work good for you. Swiss? B wave is that impulsive with break slow? I'm not quite clear what you mean by the question, but we don't even look at those questions here, right? So remember I told you this one is going to go up as well? Well, it's going up. So if you're buying, you're doing well. It's still going to go up some more. And you will watch this now that it's gone up that much. You will start to be careful with it. Because you see when they did that the last time, what they did, there's a good chance we'll have a repeat of that. Right? So what you would have to do now is if you're buying into this, you would have to be careful because now it's at a point where you can start to get that. Right? I still think we're going to have more up. I can see them consolidating here. I think we're going to have more up and you want to buy. You don't stop buying is because you're seeing signs that this might be turning. It's not turning as yet. So it's short-term buy. Long-term, you got to be careful as you come here because long-term could be one more down. CAD. Remember we said that there was a nice sell set up on CAD and I hope you took it, right? That was a sell, this was a sell, this was a sell, so I hope you took that. The worst case is you got something. And now CAD is just making a bigger correction. Let me just take that off. CAD is making a bigger correction. It's a sell. There is nothing else to do in this CAD itself. So let me show you again where the CAD will go. And most of you will not have a single trade in it. It's coming here. It's coming down very nicely. And most of you might not get a trade. The only place you need to be more careful with it is when they get to this level here, right? This one is crystal clear. They're just sell opportunities. And you're getting another sell opportunity. It's a bigger correction, and that's okay. Look at this one. Look previously. We were telling you, right? Look previously. You had a correction sell. You had a correction sell. You had 3 small corrections in there. You got a bigger correction. You wouldn't get that one. That would not be a sell setup, but this one would be your sell setup. If you got taken out, you have to sell it back here, right? Same here. You got to sell. You got to sell. Some of our traders are in from there, right? So you got to sell. You got another sell here. You're getting another sell here. It's pretty easy, right? It's like, I don't know why you think it's voodoo and it's so nice. You're getting a sell setup. It's correcting. Can this correct some more up? Of course. It's just correcting up. That's all. Take this out. That was a nice short-term buy if you wanted it. We saw that coming, right? And remember, I took that buy and closed it already. Took a nice couple $1,000 of that very short-term buy in there because we saw it. I took that on Friday and I closed it on Friday. Well, because I know it's a short-term trade. So we're looking for the sell opportunities. See? Pretty easy. XAG, I think I warned you, be careful of this. Don't try to trade it. Because this is one hell of a complex. It's very, very, very complex structure. Even for people who know wave analysis, very good. As it is right now, it's difficult to identify the parts in it. That is one of the things you would learn when you're doing it. If you do take the course, what you do when we look at complex patterns, as one part finished and the other part is building and the third part and the fourth parts are building, you're starting to put them together to see which one is the clearest of their patterns. Right now, still open as to what the pattern will be at the end of it. But the pieces of the pattern we can see. So we know when we have a sell, when we have a buy, we know if it's short-term or if it's long-term. Can you treat this sell as a short-term one? I still think in the longer term, it's a sell, right? As you can see, in the longer term, we're going to come to break this low, right? But in the short term, you can't actually tell what it's going to do. So what you're going to do here, wait for your sell setup. I think it's going to make a sell setup here. They pull back, but I don't see that it's going up as yet. Wait for this to break out. You'll have to sell under here, basically, unless you get a better setup during the week. Right? If you get a better setup, you can go for that. Buys, I don't think it's good. Remember when this was going up, you were buying short-term. You're going to be selling short-term too. Gold has a better sell setup. They broke. This one did not go. That wasn't the trigger there. So wait, I think gold has a better chance for a sell. Let them consolidate in here. They're already going to make bigger consolidation. And then you can get that sell. Gold has a higher probability trade for the downside. And might be to this level or might be much lower, right? So, okay, I have too much thing on gold. shouldn't have all of this on. Let me just take off some of this. That is because we have an ongoing course, and I was actually labeling this chart for them on Friday. So let me remove all drawing tools from there. Sorry. Right? That is for internal use. So this had too much things in it. Basically for you, for short-term purpose, look for this sell setup. Look for this to come down. And this whole thing, as you might have noticed, there was a B there. That's a B wave. We were expecting one more down, right? You saw the B, so it's okay. And the only question we have is the B wave over, right? So what it was showing is the B wave over, and can the B wave go higher? And if you're in my group and if you understand anything about it, you can actually get B wave to go up, right? You can actually B wave to go much higher than that. And that means eventually, regardless of how high this goes, right, we're still coming down here for one more. That's what we know. This is a known factor, right? And the reason we know that is because the chart is already telling us that. So normally every week I gave you a little extra lessons. So let me give you a little extra lessons right now here since we're in this chart. And the reason I'm going to do this one here today is because I got a lot of, well, not a lot of, at least two messages where traders were asking me with experience that they've studied Elliott Wave before and it never made money for them, and they're not successful in their trading, and they want to understand what's the difference between what I do and Elliott Wave and all of this, and the whole stuff of why should this thing make any pattern in the first place? Why would the market be making any kind of patterns? Why wouldn't the market be moving with what the volatility is going on in the world and the news, right? So that if like something is going to get, something is going to happen in the world, somebody's going to bomb somebody or somebody's going to do something somewhere, the market might react to that. So what will happen to your patterns, right? That's a very genuine argument, right? Like if you were saying to me that this thing is making a B wave and then suddenly there's a news, what happens to a B wave? It no longer is going to form, right? It's going to take off. That's the concept, because that's how people understand wave analysis, that it's making ABCs. And that's the misconcept of wave analysis, right? And this is how you know people who understand this stuff and people who don't understand this stuff. People who don't understand the theory, what they go out there and sell is ABCs and WXY and A. I'm expecting this to come make a B. But when you do this stuff, when you understand it, the chart is not making an ABC for you or a WXY for you or any pattern for you as such. The chart is going to do what it's going to do. So whatever is happening in the market is being plotted in a chart. And when you look at that chart, what it's telling you, the story that chart is telling you is that, A, if you see me do this, the market is planning to do X, right? Let me put it in variables. If the market is doing Y right now, that Y is giving you an indication that if you see a Y like this every time, you're going to do X, basically, right? That's how you should think. Think of the market of what is the market doing right now? And if the market is doing this right now, what happens after you see this? It's the same thing in life with anything you do. And I was showing my students a very simple example. Let's say you're planning 3 months from now to travel to another country. What would you do? You start finishing up your work in the country you're doing, make sure that everything is settled before you travel, paying your bills and doing everything. You start buying tickets, you start buying clothes, you start packing clothes, you start making sure that everything, depending on what you'll be doing on your visit, make sure you have all the things you need to go there. If you're going to see family, you buy gifts and all of that. And if you plot all of that in a chart and you pass it over to somebody who knows nothing about you, but they start saying, hey, you want a ticket to Spain, and then you're buying a lot of things that you might want to use in Spain, and you're closing up your deals in wherever you're living and all of that, and you're buying some clothes to go to the beach and all of that, they can make a very good guess that, you know what, this guy's actually going to Spain. Because everything that I see on the chart that he's written down here tells me he's going to Spain. He has a ticket to go to Spain in the final event, right? So you can know for sure if you plot that, all those information down on the chart. And that's exactly what this chart is doing. When you see the chart reacts in a news event, it's not reacting to that news event. It's using that news event as a trigger to react. And what they are going to do, they have planned it way before. So if I'm looking for this chart to make a sharp move down, it's not because something is going to happen on this day that they drop it. It's because of what they were doing before. They are telling me what they're doing. They're telling it to all of us. They're telegraphing this information to all of us. Hey, you see this, what we're doing here now? It's because we are planning to do this. The reason we are buying in the market and selling in the market like this is because we're going to drop it. That's the theory. That's understanding the theory correctly. Right? That's not the crazy stuff of the ABC and WXY. They're not making a B wave for you. Nobody in the market say, hey, let's go make a B wave. They don't do that. That is people who are, low-level Elliott wavers or low-level people who like to brand themselves wave that know nothing about it. That's what they will explain to you. The market is doing a specific structure. And if you understand it, you know it, you can read it perfectly, you have an edge in the market. Now, is that structure as easy as it looks as I show you? I wish it was that easy. I personally wish it was that easy. And I have years of experience doing this. And I'm pretty sure that I can recognize this better than 99% of the people who do wave analysis or Elliott wave analysis out there. Because I do this good. If there's anything I'm sure of, this is one thing I'm sure of. A lot of things I don't know in life. I mean, and many, many things I don't know. This is one that I know. And I've seen so many videos of other people trying to do this stuff. It's not that easy because they explain it in that simplistic way that they've read in the book. It's not that way. The market is not making any specific B wave for you that has to come to this fib level and then it's going to go down. That's like the craziest part. Hey, this B wave is going to come to this fib level and then it's going to fall. Yeah? Like who told you that? Where you got that from? That's not how it behaves. The market doesn't know that there is any fib level there. The market doesn't know that you have a support and resistance there. The market doesn't know that you have a trend line there. The market is going to do what it's doing. And that is, it's doing what the traders, bigger traders are doing, and they plot it down. And you need to be able to read into that. That is what I teach you to do. How do you read these patterns? How do you recognize these patterns? How do you know what these patterns are doing? Yeah, 700 trading pin bar, right? You're lucky. 700 is a small amount you lost trading pin bars. I know people who lost their thousands and thousands of dollars trading that crazy stuff, right? It's not about that. It's not about any one of those things. Not that if you take a trade based on a subordinate resistance, it might not be a winning trade. The chance of any trade of you making a trade being a winning trade is 50-50, right? So you may trade a few pin bars and win, and then you're like, oh, this thing is working great, until you lose your account. Because that's not what it's doing. You follow? So when you see we're forecasting that the market is going to do this, there is a high probability the market will do that, but we don't take the trade immediately. We have strategies on how we're going to trade it, right? We look for these strategies, how we're going to trade it if it does what we think it's going to do, when it could do what we're going to do, what we think it's going to do, what we need to see in the chart to know that it is about to do what we think it's going to do. Those are the kind of things we teach you to do. Those are the kinds of things you need to learn if you really want to be able to read waves as wave analysis. That's what the theory is about. So again, do you think this thing could climb up here and go and go and go and go and go, then do this and then continue up? Wild guess. I think all of you may have seen, all of you already know what I'm saying. All of you are looking and saying, oh yeah, now I can see that. That seems to make a lot of sense to me, right? See it? But are we expecting it to do that? That's the next question. Is this making that structure right now? No. Right now, no. That's a no-no. How do I know that? Well, that's a 5-week trading course. Will it change that structure we're looking at? Can it change this structure into something else? Right? Of course it can change the structure. You don't know what specific structure the market is going to make now. You can follow it as it's developing, and then you will make that conclusion, right? But do you know to read it so that you can follow what it's doing? That's the whole point. If you can read into it correctly, then you will be able to read what it's going to do. But if you can't, then for you, it's just a big guess. It's just a big wild guess. And then it looks like voodoo, right? So we look into each specific piece. We look at it in all time frame, and we make that decision. Hey, you know what? This is the pattern we're likely looking for until we see change. And then we said, okay, we were looking for this, but look what it did now. And that means it's going to do this pattern. But that pattern will still be one of the corrective structures for the next impulse as you know it. The structure will not change. Out of the 30-something possibilities or more possible patterns it can make, if you know all of them and you're able to identify them and you're able to read them correctly, you're going to have an edge in the market. And that's all about trading, having an edge in the market. See? So if it looks like voodoo to you, come to me. I'll get rid of that voodoo. And you will probably, your eyes will open and you will see this crystal clear, how it works. We're still expecting this to go down. Let me go back. We're still expecting this to come down here and then go back up. Hope it does that. If it doesn't, we'll trade it differently. See? Let's go. Next chart. That was your short lesson, free of charge, right? So if you like that lesson, the payment will be simple. Please share it with somebody else. Just take it and share it with a friend that, you must have a good friend that you want to help. Share that lesson with him. Maybe he will learn something, right? Every one of these webinars will have a lesson for you, right? So let's go. Did I just show you that pattern on a bigger scale? Well, it's doing what we think it's going to do. So we're expecting this to make a bigger correction and then go break the top, right? So expecting more downside. I don't think this is turning, so don't worry. I think this is actually going to start to consolidate. Here is a bigger correction. We might see more downside. It could be a bigger correction like this. We're going to see some more. This whole thing would be a bigger correction for one more up. As of now, that is how we're treating it, as a bigger correction for one more up. Go break that top and then come down. So you can trade it up, you can trade it down, depending on what pattern it gives you on a 60-minute. What setup it gives you. So right now you might get a short-term buy setup. I would allow this to actually come back here and then look for a buy setup. And it's a short-term trade because they may just break that top, go down back again, right? It's not that simple. But for you, to make it as simple as possible, wait for a correction, then buy. You're in New Zealand, pretty much the same thing. This one is crawling down and we expect this to go down much more. But first, we wanted to break out of this pattern they're in right now, break out of it, and make a little flag, and then start to look for downside, right? Minimum, we're thinking they should break this low before they go back up, before this structure is over. So let's see. Short-term upside, if you get the upside, it's going to be very short-term, right? This will be a very short-term. I think most likely it's going to be downside from here. EuroCAD broke the top. This pattern was telling us that there's a likelihood for one more. We were looking at this for a likelihood for one more. That didn't happen. So this is an extension of this wave, which means there is still that chance that they can go back one more up. I'm not seeing where they can, where the connection is lost there. So I'll still be aware that this could go back one more up. That has not changed. It's just more of an extended wave. This last wave getting very extended. So I still think we'll see one more up here before they go down. Now, do we have a buy setup in it or is it the sell? Let's go into 1 hour. You don't have a buy setup as yet, but you can see those short-term trades. I hope most of you got some of them because they were very easy to trade. They're very nice, very short-term. I would wait for us to break out of this entire structure before I start looking for buys. Something like this. I'll wait for this to totally break out and then start buying. If they make another short one like that, you sell. This is not that. This will have to come and do this. And if they make it flat like that, then you sell. Right? That would be about a day or two from now. Right? That would be like a day or two. First time, welcome. Is it the first time in because you just found me? Or is it the first time here since you found me for a long time? That, if you can answer that, that will help other traders understand why they need to help share this. Euro Chief, sell setup, right? You can see this. Look for another sell setup. It's all short term, which means they're going to drop here, go back up, drop, go back up, drop, go back, but then they'll do this, and then you look for one more buy. See? So it's downside, but it's pretty much like this one. Drop, come, and then they do this, they make another one, and then they go, but it's upside. Once all those drops are finished, it's going to be upside. So I think more upside here, right? So Euro Yen, upside. But this one, you have to be careful. It's still upside for now, but you have to be careful because it's losing momentum. And that means we can expect this to go down some more before they go back up, right? It's starting to look downside from here. This up wave is not very aggressive, which means I'll be very careful. If you get a buy, you take it. If they drop beyond this, wait for a correction before you sell. Don't sell it until, because dropping beyond the line does not mean it's changing direction. So you wait for that corrective structure before you actually sell. Europa, still expecting this to go up. We weren't expecting them to break this low, right? I still think they're good, but now we know they're going to go up and they're going to come back down. So watch this. I'm expecting a running or an expanding flat here. It's no longer going to go up to the top anymore. More something like this. And then the downside. So you're going to get more downside after that, right? This one, I think, has some extra things in it. Okay. Oh, yeah. So let me go back to the 1 hour. That is, we're looking at the possible development of patterns in it that we can see. So watch this here. I think you're going to get a short-term trade up and then downside. You can look for buy setups if you get them, right? Follows. Definitely a sell setup here, but it's short-term also. You're going to wait for this to go up here, probably one more sell, break this low and break this low, and then you'll have more something like this for upside. Right? So there is more upside in this. This does not look downside as yet. Right? But short-term, yes, you're going to get some more downside short-term. Basically, you're making this pattern. Right? See it? It's not that difficult for you to see. You've got this, you've got that, and you've got this, right? So you've got this, you've got that, and I'm expecting this to probably do this, come back here, and then go back up, right? In this case, they did not break the low. That's a contracting flat. In this case, I think they'll break the low. We're always focusing for them to break the low. If they don't, you'll still get it, right? So let's go. Okay, 8 months. Well, I'm here for 2 years. So if you guys can help share, most people will get it. This one is pretty easy. You're looking for a sell setup. Short-term sell setup. I think this one is going to come back to this level. We're looking at that flat pattern. You had one like that here, if you can see it. Similar, you're getting this one. Probably come break this low and then look for upside. I think this piece here will go back one more. It's in a bigger pattern that should go back up one more. You can see it. Now, if they do go one more, that would be the last trade up. So if you do get this trade, which means you're looking for this first, and then you'll be looking for this one here, and then you're looking for downside. Well, we think we know where it's going to go from here, but we'll leave it at here for now and watch for this. In rare cases, this is going to break down. If it is going to break down, you will look for a specific pattern. By next week, we'll show you that if it happens, right? It's likely not going to happen before next week. So you can look for short-term downside here and then look for buy setup after that. So go to the 1 hour. Let's see if you're going to get some short-term sells. About to start, so you wait for this to come down. Wait for a flag. You see that flag there? That's your sell setup. So you get this sell. See? Right? So you go short and then you're going to go back long. Pound Chief. Pound Chief is coming down, but I also think this is a correction on the 1 hour. I don't think that's the fall. This one made a flat. It climbed up. It climbed up pretty high, and I wasn't expecting this to go that much high. Right? We thought they would break this top and go down. Well, they broke the top and they climb a little higher. So if it is going to continue, I don't see this continuing very far. But if it is going to continue very far, we'll wait for small trades. You buy small, and then expect a deeper correction before they go, right? So if this is going to continue to go up, there will be a bigger correction in it before that happens. So if you're buying right now, you got to buy everyone as if that is the last up trade. So you'll get a buy setup here. You'll take this as if this is the last trade up, take profit out of it. So it comes back here, go there, you get that trade, take profit. You get that trade, take profit. You get this trade here, you probably take profit. You get that trade, you take profit, or take break even. Because break even is all you might get, right? Each one is going very, very slow. And if you get 6 break even and 1 profit trade, that's okay. Take it every time because you don't know which one of those is going to be the turnaround for the bigger correction. Funkad also looks one more downside before the big upside, right? This is also showing you one more up. All the pump trades are showing kind of a one more downside and then up. Break the top, right? You see this one is showing that pattern. Let's go. Let's do the yen and then I'll go back. Pound yen, one more upside, and then I think I showed this pound yen already, and there is a high probability for them to go break the top. Well, I think they will do that. So you might get consolidation here, up, break the top, break this top, and then we'd look for downside, right? Because this pattern is looking the opposite. This pattern is really looking downside. There is some more upside here, though. That might take a while. So keep your eyes on this one. It started to make sense because it wasn't making a lot of sense for us before, and then, you know, especially this piece, we realized that's a big corrective structure. We actually did that forecast, and I don't know how many of you have the snapshots you were supposed to take. 2 snapshots, 2 options. They break here, make this, come to this level, and then go back up, which would have been a bigger structure like this, and then up. Or they bounce from here, finish that, and finish this structure, then go down, right? Those were the 2 snapshots you were supposed to take. If you take them, go back, check them again, right? This could take off. I don't see this as bigger takeoff to the upside. Maybe, but I don't see that possibility because we don't see the structure that leads to that bigger takeoff. Right? If that changes, we'll see. But right now, we're going to trade it up to this level somewhere there, and then we'll keep an eye on what it does. Right? So not these rarely. You may have seen a similar pattern that does that and go up, but this one doesn't have that same similar structure. Aussie CAD, but we'll see. We'll keep an eye on it. Aussie CAD, if you're trading, it's very short term because eventually this will correct. We're waiting for a daily correction, and then we will take a long-term trade. But you can start buying if you get buy setups because every buy setup will give you a short-term trade, right? Go to the 1 hour. You'll take a short-term trade, take the profit, get out, right? So you're getting a buy setup here now. Take profit, it's going to do this. Take profit, it will do it. So it's going to make a bigger daily correction, and then it will go down. So it's not ready for the downside as yet. Aussie Chief, you're getting short-term sell here, right? And you should take it too, which means you wait for this to do this. Downside. Downside. As they come here, you'll be careful. See whether it ends up being a pattern like that for more up or whether it's a sharper pattern that keeps going down. Right? Right now, I think it could be more up. They'll probably just come here and go back more up. Aussie New Zealand, you might be getting some upside now, finally, for a bigger B wave. So I'll wait for this to do this and then take the trade up. If they drop again, well, they're going to probably drop here and start going back up. The downside now is getting very, because we fall that much in a bigger correction like this, we're anticipating that they're going to start to make that B wave up. You see, they fall that much, and then they make the B wave up. So we fall this somewhere here, you're going to start to get a B wave up, and then downside again, right? To retest this low. I don't see this one coming all the way there. So, which means we can start to expect the B wave to the upside to start here. And it looks like this might be a good wave place for them to start. So if you get a flag or a correction here, we'll look for buy setups. Aussie yen. It's going up, which means you have to just wait for it to make a bigger correction here and then go. If they're going to drop beyond here, any correction after that would be sell. But on the longer term, I think it's more upside. Let me just show you the whole structure. In the longer term, I remember we're looking at this, and I think it's going to go more up here. The only difference is if they're going to make a big correction here before, which would be good for you. If they make a bigger correction, then would that be good? It would be easier to get in the trade and stay in the trade. If the correction here is very small, you wouldn't be able to stay in the trade for long because it's going to pull back deep again, right? Okay, let's go. New Zealand yen, upside, you're getting a correction and then more upside. This one will actually go very nice, right? Completed that pattern, we're expecting this to go, which means any deep correction here would be a buy setup. And I mean deep correction, which is what I think they're making now, right? Short term, sells. So short term, you can sell this, you can sell this, you can sell this, you can sell this, and then eventually you're going to get this for upside, right? So it will probably be there a while. This week you might not get, you might get something like this and then the upside. New Zealand CAD, same here. I think this could even go a little more down. You got to be careful. This one could go a little more down here. But this whole pattern is telling me that they would probably make a move up. right? The way it's structured. So if you get any trade to the downside, you can see this is a trade setup. That's a short-term one. You take this one, is going to be short-term. Once they break this low here, there's a good chance they can start to take off. New Zealand, Swiss, downside. Aussie, Swiss, and New Zealand, Swiss both showing downside. Although Aussie and New Zealand is showing kind of like going up, right? Most pairs. So take this trade, take this trade, take this trade, and then we'll see where it goes. Let me see in the 4 hour where we expect this to go. Yep, some more downside, right? And the downside could be way back to this low. It could be just a bigger correction and way back to the low. So you may want to start looking for that sell setup. Canadian, look for the buy setup. I think we're going to have a bigger correction. You're going to break out of this, so you're going to get a bigger correction here. And then go short-term, sell. Wait for a flag, sell, take profit. Wait for a flag, sell, take profit. While they're making this correction, it would either be flat or it's going to be downwards and then go. So the sell setup is, what you're going to get is very short-term sells. You'll have to take profit, I don't know, a couple pips, maybe 50, 60, 20, 30 pips, take profit, and then wait for the next trade. If you're lucky, this one becomes a very sharp move though. And rarely you get those first impulse very sharp, then you get something like this, something like that, and you go, right? They do happen, but not that often. So you might get lucky if you take that sell. Wait for the flag first. Swiss yen, definitely in a sideways move, and that means we're going to get one more down, right? So they broke out of this, go back. That's a sell, sell a deeper one. They're probably going to break down here. You're going to probably see this one break down here, and then the upside, right? I don't think the downside is very big, right? The downside is just one more down and then upside. So we're still expecting this to go up. Be careful here, right? Drop below this, start looking for buys. Cat Chief is actually going up nicely. So what you have to do is wait for any correction and buy. They're making a correction right now, which is good. And then you buy it. You can buy it back all the way to this top. Actually, this pattern is pretty easy. We forecast this already, right? So you just have to wait for the setup to buy. Nothing difficult here. And actually, they will just make small flags, very small flags, very small flags, very small. This is the only big correction you have. So I don't think we're going for the big correction. I think you'll make a small flag, go small flag, go maybe somewhere here you get a bigger correction, finish that move. So you can take the buy setups you have. Right? Copper. I would look for buy setups because I think this move is about to finish. Not very clear, but it looks like it's about to finish. We don't have anything in the sell. Yeah. Even if they go with the sell here, this could be a very small trade here. And then go back up. I would be selling until they break out of this structure. Got to break out, pull back, and then I'll sell. Because most likely it's looking upside. US oil. We broke the top. Right, they broke the top. The last time they came down, dropped to this level, they went a little more down, and then they turned, break the top. So we're still in a corrective structure. That has not changed. What has not changed is the corrective structure, but we broke this top. And that means the pattern we're looking at now is different. We're not expecting them to come here anymore. We're expecting them to come somewhere here and then take off. Right? Then take off. Well, we have a pattern like this just in case you want to see it. Just in case you want to see that pattern, we have a very similar pattern to that. Not exactly the same pattern, but very similar, where they break the top, right? And this was the top of the impulse. Let me just see if I can, sorry. So this was the impulse done. You made a three wave, you broke the top, you came back down, and then you go, right? So if you take that one as a copy of what they're going to do here, can't get both at the same time, right? So I have to go to the daily for you to see it. The 4 hour is not squeezing the chart anymore. This is what we're looking at. You got one, you got 1, 2, 3 here. This one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Come back here, finish that structure, come back there, finish that structure, and go. See? So I don't think this one is going to come back here anymore. They'll probably stop there. For the second one they came, they could have come here. But on the fifth one, they're not likely going to do that. So in the 1 hour, you might get some short-term sells. I think we're about to get some short-term sells. I don't think this is going to take off. In rare cases, you're not going to get this coming very deep, but very short, maybe breaking this low only, breaking out of the structure, right? So I'd probably wait here for this to start making an impulse to sell, take short-term sells, and then upside. I just like these short-term sells, short-term sells, short-term sells, and then you get taken out there, right? For it to go. UK all doing the same thing. Very similar structure. We're expecting this behavior, and then we'll see where it goes. What if they break out of there? No big deal. You're not in the buy. Because that buy, the way this is going, that buy will likely come back. If it doesn't come back, you wait until it makes a deeper correction. And by that, I mean, if they break out of here and your the analysis isn't correct, wait for them to do this and then buy. You'll get the buy exactly where you are. But now you'll get the buy with proof that they're going to go up. This does not mean they're going to go up. I hope that part is clear, because that part could be difficult for traders to understand. Natural gas, there was an up trade. Oh, this one didn't go. This just went slightly. Thought this one was going to go down, so we wait now. We're in a three-wave structure here. 1, 2, 3. All right, so we'll wait and see what this does. Once they break that top, they could literally go down. Right? We don't know what this one is going to do as yet. Because in the bigger picture, we're still expecting more downside. Right? In the bigger picture, this is a P wave in the middle here. This is a 1, 2, 3, come back here, and then you can go. That will complete this one. I can show you one of that right now, right here. So just look backwards slightly. You got an impulse down. See that? This is your move up. This is your move down. That is your move up. This is your move down. Right? This is 1, 2, 3 in the middle. 1, 2, 3 in the middle. You have to come back down, which means this has to come back down. Right? Finish this move here. Finish that move there, and then go up to finish this move here. Right? Go up to finish this move here. Then you can go down. Then you can go down. See? You're welcome. That's a free lesson of how to look at patterns. Right? So I think we're making very much the same pattern. Is it going to be the same pattern? We'll see how this develops. But watch it. Once they break that up, be careful. If you start buying crazy, you can end up getting a drop where they drop there, right? And that's how people get taken out of trades, because they don't understand what this thing is doing. And they're like, oh my God, the candle is going up. I have to jump in right now if I don't have missed this trade. And they jump in right here, and this candle does that, and then take them out. And they're like, okay, I'm going to go into sell now because this is going to be a sell. And then what it does, it just complete 1, 2, 3 there, complete this 1, 2, 3 here, and then it starts going up. And they're like, I lost the buy, I lost the sell. This thing is crazy. I'm not going to be trading anymore. This has no idea what it's doing. It's just going all over. The market is volatile. News is getting crazy. No. That has nothing to do with news and volatility. That's what the market is doing. That's the behavior of the market. And if you understand that behavior, you can see it. And then you say, hey, I know what they're going to do when they behave like that. See how we read into it. That's the whole point. You have to read. Now, every now and then, because these are forecasts and not hindsight, they may not do exactly as we think they're going to do, which means this pattern might change from that flat to a different structure, right? We think it's going to make a flat, and then it change. That's okay. If you were looking at this point to go for a sell and you didn't get the sell, that's okay. You didn't lose anything. But if you were buying into it and it dropped, congratulations, you just lost some money. And that's the difference. Do you have an edge in the market, or don't you have an edge? Do you have an understanding of what you can do, or don't you? Because knowledge saves you from losing money. Ignorance, well, congratulations if you can make money trading ignorance, right? Trading from ignorance. It doesn't help anyone. I don't think that will work anywhere, right? So sometimes the pattern, the specific pattern we're looking for is not the one we get, but that is okay. Because then we don't take the trade that we're expecting to get. Then we don't get the trade either. And every now and then that happens, that's great. We look at the pattern, we said, okay, we were looking for a simple flat. If we have an expanding flat, how do we trade this? We have a running flat in the making, how do we trade this? And then you start looking for your trade setups and you trade, right? And then when that pattern changes, you know what it's going to do, because the results of any one of those corrections will be the same, right? If you understand what I'm saying, the results, the bigger trade will be the same. It's just a smaller trade while the correction is developing, right? So as we've shown you this before, nothing has changed, right? These lines were on forever. We expect this to make 1, 2, 3, come break this low and then go back up. Well, they haven't broken the lows yet. They're just making a bigger correction here. I'm thinking this is a bigger correction in here. I showed you all that voodoo stuff, and then they're going to drop here, and then we can expect this to go back up, right? So if you understand all the voodoo stuff in there, you're going to do well. This structure has been doing very nice, everything we wanted it to do. You remember all these very nice moves in here that went up and then down and then go back up? That's exactly what it is. So will it go back up in the long term? Absolutely. Isn't going back up from here? I think no. I don't see that development as yet, but if it starts to happen, we will see it, right? So that's what we expect to happen. S&P 500. I told you it's a big correction. It's probably going to remain a big correction. It's going to be in this correction for a while. It's just a big daily correction. Short term, I see this coming down somewhat. Maybe not breaking this low because this looks like a 1, 2, 3, so they'll probably go back up. And that means this whole corrective structure is going to be one long, drawn out, complex corrective structure before they do go back up. I don't think they're going up right now, right? I think this bigger correction will be on for a while. It is going to be upside. It might even be bigger than this one, right? We're expecting this correction here to be bigger than this one, which means that even if this goes back up, you might get some complex patterns coming back down here, going back up, dropping below, going back up, making some more complex pattern dropping here. So it could be longer time-wise before you get the next impulse. This one was a pretty short one and a very simple one, right? Let's see what they do here. You've got a top, you've got a bottom. As long as they're within that, you look for a trade setup and take the trade up and down, whichever way you get the setup to go. Some of you will win, some of you will lose. Most of them, if you know understand where they can turn, you'll get break even in on the losing ones. The winning ones, you'll take profit. So, and that means you can get a lot of trades in here. You can see them, right? The trade setups that we're looking for, like this one. That would either be a losing trade or a break even if you understand the change in the structure. So if you were in this trade and you understand change in the structure, you got a break even trade. If you didn't, you get a losing trade. Right? Some you lose, some you win. Most you'll get break even if you're wrong. When you're correct, you'll get the profit. So if you're wrong and you can get break even, great, you're doing well, right? That's the whole point of trading, right? That's same thing, big corrective structure. I think we might be looking at possibility for some downside now, right? This one, they might go up some more. They might still, you know, kind of climb some more here. But then we can look for some downside within this structure, because when they did that the last time, you see, they dropped. They're doing pretty much the same thing here on a smaller scale. You can get one more down. Right? It's kind of a complex pattern in the middle there. It's just a corrective structure. Nothing has changed. It's making a big correction in the middle here to go back up. Same here, right? And this one actually is clearer. This one is definitely upside. This piece is definitely going to go up. So you will find that this might drop a little more here, and then you can look for the upside here. This is just the first impulse. They got that. You're probably going to get this, and then you're going to get much more complex patterns in here, right? So you can look for a buy setup. First is going to drop a little lower, right? Let me see if I can get that over to you. This part is going to drop a little lower like this. See that top there? Something like this, and then you can start to look for that trade. In the worst case, buy it above the top. Yeah, running or expanding, and then above the top. See? You guys know this stuff, right? You're learning. You're starting to figure out, okay, I can see that one too. So let's go Nifty. We saw this coming, and I told you it's going to go up, and it's going up. If you're in a Nifty, be careful now, because this might be finished very soon, and then we start some more downside. I don't see this the one going up totally. If you're buying, just move your stops. What else? Bitcoin. Let's go to Bitcoin. Sorry, not that one. Bitcoin. So somebody was asking me, why are you saying you should buy Bitcoin now? You're against Bitcoin. Why you want to buy it, right? And I was like, well, we're buying it because I'll check those very fast, Deshaun, in a very short time. We're buying Bitcoin because it's in a big correction, right? It has nothing to do with me personally liking Bitcoin. I showed you that pattern, right? I showed you that pattern for a long while. So are you surprised it's going up? I'm not. By the way, this one might be been a surprise because I thought that structure would come down here, then go, but it seems they're making more. Oh, it's still going to come, but it's not going to come the way we expect it to come because they're making, this one actually was perfect. And then they're making this one. So what you're going to get when you see that, you're probably going to get something like this, drop here and then go. So this would be like short-term sideways, running flat, go back up there. Okay? If you're buying long-term, that wouldn't bother you. Where do I expect this thing to go? I think they're making a flat 1, 2, 3. What would that flat be? Who knows? Really, who knows? Who cares? If you're buying when they come to the top, close to the top, start moving your stop. Start being careful that it could be a contracting flat, it could be an expanding, well, not expanding, it could be a regular flat, or it could be a more complex flat. Right? Buy and then wait. It's going to be longer in consolidation. So they'll go up and then you'll probably see some more downside. Ethereum, pretty much the same thing. You're going to watch this. It's starting to go up now. I don't think this one will go very much because I'm looking at these sharp waves and these corrections there. See that? They might be just a correction and some more sharp waves down. So this might not go very much up too. But take the trade. Let's see where it goes. Move your stops. Same with Ripple, right? Buy it. Same here. We thought Ripple would come back and then go, but they're actually consolidating at the top there. So if they consolidate to the top, right? If they consolidate here, look for more upside, right? I thought this would probably come back here, maybe even break the low, then go back up. It's going to go up in the longer term, right? So if you're buying, that's your buy zone. This is a buy zone area you're supposed to be buying, right? This is going to go back up. Now, this might not be big upside. This piece might just come, like depends whether it goes fast or whether it goes slow, and then you're going to get more downside. I think this might be part of a structure or the bigger structure in here. Depends how you look at it, the bigger corrective structure here and then go. So if it goes slow, it might go higher. If it goes fast, it's going to come down back. Right? That means whichever structure develops, put it in the 1 hour. Short term, you might still get some downside here. So this short term is not a complete structure, so they might still come here. And then, like we said, they'll probably come here, right? But they might come shorter now and then go back. They will not come way down to the bottom. They'll probably just do something like this and go. So if you see this corrective structure here, buy. Look for buy setups. It's making this one. I don't think that one is going to. I think this one is going to come back first. Make a complete structure and then go. Let's go through these very fast. This one, just it's short term might go down, but it's very complex. So the best thing to do is stay out of it. Ruble's doing exactly like we expected to do, and I think rubles are going to go up some more. I don't think that is all. And this forecast was out for a long time. Right? Now it could come down, but from there and come back, break the lows of this one. This could come back here, break the lows, and then start the up move again. We're expecting this move to happen. So put it in a 4 hour. I don't think it's coming down right now, but we will know. Let's put it back in the 1 hour so you can know what you look for to see whether it's going to come in at. If they start to consolidate here, yes. See, they're starting to do this. I want to see what this is. Consolidation for up or consolidation for down. If I get a consolidation for down, you can close your rubles because it's going to go down. All right, rubles is going to get strong. I think you might get a consolidation for up because I don't think the up move is finished. And we forecast that, by the way. I heard one person said, oh, well, it's an attack on the ruble. The ruble should get weak because of whatever. And I'm like, yes, but we thought that attack is going to come when they started to do this, right? When we saw that, we know they're going to go. We know they're going to go. We know they're going to go. So is it an attack on Russia and the rubles and whatever else? Maybe. But it didn't happen the day you heard about it. It actually happened because they were planning to do that a long time back. See, this preparation to make the up move was already there, right? So we really don't care what is the reason for them to move it. We know they were going to move it. And as long as you know they're going to move it, you're ready to buy it. Okay? See, that is that easy. You don't have to know why it's going to happen. Okay, this one is in a complex. I think this one might, you can get an extension of this going up here, but eventually this whole structure, Depends on what happens, it's going to fall, right? So an extension to the upside, let's see in the 1 hour. Not as yet. Watch this piece. It might come back down here somewhere. See? I think short term, you're looking for that sell. Don't sell it for too far. Sell it to here and then move your stops. And if they really do this, then we look for the upside. But they can drop now. Right? It could drop now. I think more of a corrective structure. We'll just watch this pattern here. You either wait for it to break and look for a sell setup, or consolidate here and then look for the up. What else we're looking at? We looked at all of those. I think that's about it. We have about, yeah, we've completed an hour or more. So for those of the, I think we can close the YouTube and then take some question, or leave the YouTube on. How many people in YouTube there? Should we keep you on for the questions? I don't want the YouTube video to be too long, because one person already wrote me. Well, that's one person who wrote me, you know, the analysis is good, but can you make it short? I was like, yes, I can do Euro loan if you want. Right? If you want, I can do Euro loan, or I can don't give you the short lessons that I give in them. Well, if it's too long, why watch it? Just don't watch it, right? 150 trade. Okay, we'll keep the traders on there. Let's go. Questions. What questions you have? Doesn't ask me to do another pair. What questions you have? Many thanks to the weekly. Please share it. Your thank you to me is if you share it to somebody else. That's the biggest thank you. Are there any particle types of correction that do not allow the complete retrace of their previous impulse? Yes. I think you want to ask, most corrections don't allow the complete retrace. I think what you're asking is if any corrections that allow the complete retrace of the impulse. Yes, there are. That is expanding flats, running flats, expanding triangles. Those will allow that. What else? Do you think that what happened in Syria this week will have an impact on the market? It might have an impact on the market, but you know, it's here's the thing. Syria has been going on for how long? For quite a long time. That's not news to us, right? If it was going to have an impact on the market, it already had an impact. I remember once in TradingView, one guy posted a chart on silver. I don't know if you guys remember me. I did have fun with that one when he said, oh, this spike in impulse happened because the Russians were bombing in Syria. That was like 2 years ago or something like that, or 3 years ago, when the first set of bombs actually fall, right? And, you know, the silver spiked a little. And I was like, really? You really thought that is it? You really want to go there? You know? It has nothing to do with it. It's just a matter of using if they are going to, here's the thing. Let me give you a very simple thing so all of you can remember this, and this will make you think over the weekend, the rest of the weekend. If you are selling something, anything, I don't know what you're selling. Let's say you have a store and you are selling what you would like to sell, phones, iPhones, right? I don't know what. You're selling anything. Or let's say you're Apple and you're selling phones, right? And you're planning on bringing out the new phone, right? You're going to bring the Apple 20 out. We want to make sure that the Apple 19 is very low in stock, right? So if you're planning to bring your Apple 20 out next year, you got to make sure your Apple 19 are already not in stock, sold. So you will contact all the stores and say, hey, have you guys sold all the Apple 19? Because if you haven't, we're not bringing out 20, right? So for them to bring out 20, they have to be planning that a year ahead. They have to, be making a new one to bring it out in the first place, right? There's a lot of planning that goes into that, over a year and more. Nothing just happens suddenly, right? It's the same thing with this. If you're selling anything, I don't know what you want to sell. You're selling currency, and you're one of the big banks. You're Apple in the currency market, right? You're Bundesbank or your Citibank, and you know that, based on economic, whatever consultations you've got from your scholars, your PhD economists who are working with you, telling, hey, you know what? The pound is going to drop. The pound economy, such and such will happen, and the economy in the Britain will go down, and the pound is going to drop. And you look at your reserves, and you got a hell of a lot of pound. What do? Start selling pounds or start buying pounds? And this is what confuses traders, because they assume that you start selling pounds. If you have a huge reserve and a year from now pound could be dropping, many traders think, well, the bank should be selling their pounds. But what happens if a big bank with that amount of punk starts selling? The market drops immediately. The market will start dropping right now. And if the market starts dropping and you're stuck with your punk and your reserves, you have nothing to do with it. So what would be your biggest plan? Start preparing for the drop a year ahead. So you want the price of punk to go where? Up, so you can sell. You don't want it to go down and sell. You don't want to sell all that reserve you have cheaper. You want it to go up. So you are the market mover, right? You're Apple. You start moving the market with direction upwards. Because guess what? The people who does not have the information you have and don't understand market structure and don't understand anything is going to think, oh, punk is getting strong. Call my accountant. We have a couple 100,000. We have a couple million there in punks. Or we have a couple million in US dollar. Can they just convert that into punk? Punk is getting stronger. Right? Call all the companies calling their accountants there and say, hey, you guys better convert all those money into punk. Punk is getting stronger. So they are buying punks at a high price. Who is selling to them at a high price? Who is selling that punk to them at a high price? As the price is going up, they're buying. And who is selling to them? The guy who knows a year from now that sucker is going to fall, right? He's getting rid of his, but he's forcing you to buy, which means if you go to sell, what he's going to do? He's going to buy it from you. If you decide you're smart and you're selling, he's going to buy it from you and the price goes higher. Any buys that want to come, he will accept it. Anybody who wants to sell, he's accepting it at a high price because he's going to sell it back at a higher price. Pushing the market up which way? You will see the pong or the whatever that is going to go up like this. You want to sell, he buys it from you. Push it up lower, push it up higher, push it up higher. And who is buying in this crazy up move like that? The people who have no knowledge. They think punk is getting stronger. Say, hey, we got to buy, man. Look at punk getting strong. Bitcoin is a good example. Push it higher so the dumb people could buy. Sell their house and go buy Bitcoin so they will be a billionaire. And then drop it and teach them a lesson. So they will learn. They're living in the streets now, and that taught them a very good lesson. Don't sell your house to buy something that is already overvalued. Really overvalued. Learn to read that stuff. Right? That's what happened. If you know that information a year ahead, that's what you will do. It's not manipulation, it's normal common sense. The only thing is that nobody knows that. And why we know it? Because we see them doing this. And when we look at that, guess what? I'm like, hey, you know what those guys are doing? They just told me, look at the charts. That's the whole point of reading wave analysis. And that's what we teach you. If you like this stuff, share the videos. You'll help a friend. I'll see all of you. Take care. Have a good weekend. That's a nice way to end it, right? Have a good weekend. See all of you next week. My traders, see you tomorrow. Take care, everybody. You're a great group. Let's get this message. This webinar is very interesting. Sell it, get it over to the next couple hundred people. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.